has gone on strike. As a teenager, he's being asked to go fight the demons in the forest. And Vishvamitra had come and said to Dasharatha, his father, "You've got to fix this policing problem that we have." And Dasharatha said, "Well, I can't do anything." He said, "No, no, no." Vishvamitra said, "Send your brave son, Ram." And Ram says, "I'm only a teenager. I don't want to do this. Life isn't worth living. I just want to meditate." And then to fix him, they bring in, this is therapy, laid on therapy, 64 stories worth of therapy. So vasiṣṭha is brought in to get Ram into the right mindset to do what he needs to do. And vasiṣṭha is his Krishna to Rama's Arjuna moment in a way that is symmetrical and beautiful. And this text is a whole lot more fun, and it results in great joy. And I know Ram went and he did what he needed to do, but it wasn't cataclysmic like the great Maharaj. So listen to this wonderfully good story, remembered as a tale about who is related and who is not. On the continent of Jambudvipa, there is a moist mountain covered with forest. This highest mountain is called Mahendra. Within its peaks, extending into space with abundant forests rising up, peaceful sages and musicians can be found in the shadows of the Rishin tree forest. Having obtained the inner heavenly realm, these sages hum the songs of the Samaveda, which echo through the peaks and caves. On the peak of the mountain, which is covered with vines and flowers, water from dense, playful clouds shimmers like locks of hair. Rain resounds from the thunderclouds and lightning like the open mouths of Sharavas flying straight out from their caves. The roar generated by the torrents of water moving through these caves is equal to that of the resplendent surf in the ocean's waters. Spread out from that singular space on the beautiful jewel-encrusted mountain, the Ganges descends from the sky to be used by the sages for bathing and drinking. On the banks of that three-path Ganges, radiant trees catch flashes of light up against the slope of the jeweled mountain, illuminated by golden river fog. How many of you saw the lightning today? So nice. A highly intelligent sage lived there called Yogavāsiṣṭha, endowed with noble vision due to his abundant tapas. In fact, due to his tapas, his body was unexcelled. This sage had two sons, Punya and Pavana, handsome as the full moon, as brilliant as those two sons of the father of speech, Brihaspati. He, his wife, and his two sons all lived together as one on the bank of the river under a fruit tree. In due time, one of the two sons became knowledgeable. That elder brother called Punya had superior qualities all around. Pavan, do we have any Pavans in the room? Okay, good. We can't make fun of Pavan. Okay. Pavan was only half awakened, like a lotus at twilight. Due to his slow-mindedness, he had not attained anything, and in fact was stuck in doubt. So how many Punyas do we have in the room? All you yoga teachers. Okay, how many Pavans? Okay, we both have that, right? We have our good moments in that. The inevitable passage of time, 100 years in fact, called Dirga's vitality to diminish and his body to grow old. Having experienced repeated rounds of wealth and pleasure, as well as difficulty and decline, his body, racked with senility, drew to an end. The sage Dirgatapa left his body like a bird flies from the nest. He died in his house hidden on the mountain, laying down his heavy load. With death, he flew into samadhi, free from thought, into the abode of consciousness. He went to the stage free from passion, like the scent of a flower wafts up into the sky. His wife, having seen the body of the lifeless sage, fell to the earth like a lotus without a stalk. Through the discipline of yoga taught to her by her husband over many years, she renounced her delicate frame, like a bee flying from a lotus. She followed her husband, departing to the place unseen by people, the light of her soul fading in the sky like the half moon at sunset. With mother and father gone, Punya steadfastly focused on the funeral ceremonies, while Pavan descended into grief. His mind afflicted with grief, he wandered the forest paths. Having lost sight of his brother, Pavan wailed, "Ah!" Having performed the appropriate funeral rites for the bodies of his mother and father, Punya ventured into the forest after Pavan, who was afflicted with great sorrow. Why, boy, this thick cloud of sorrow that is making you blind and ignorant? Your violent cloud of tears is like a monsoon season filled with rain. Your mother and father of great wisdom have gone together to heaven, indeed beyond heaven, to that highest self, that place called moksha. That place is the goal of all people who have overcome this world of form. Why mourn your parents? They have attained their true nature. You are really bound to this state that is born of delusion. You mourn for things in samsara that should not be mourned. She is not your only mother, nor is he your only father, nor are we the only two sons of the many who have been born of these two. Child, our mother and father have passed through thousands of births, as numerous as the streams running deep in each and every forest here. Honored son, we are not the only two sons. Our parents have had countless children. Multitudes of sons have passed through the generations like rapids in a river. Our parents had innumerable distinguished sons who have passed away long ago, just as the branches of a creeping vine give forth many flowers and fruits. Just as a great tree gives forth an abundance of fruit with the passage of each season, so also our many friends and relatives have experienced many births. Son, if parents and children should be mourned out of affection, then why not? Why should the thousands who die continually not also be mourned? From your perspective of worldliness, the affairs of wandering people are deemed important. But from the highest perspective, knowledge reveals that there is no lasting friend, no lasting relative. On the other hand, brother, from the perspective of absolute truth, no destruction is known in freedom. Everything happens only in the mind and then evaporates like water in the desert. The beautiful things that you see are none other than a dream, fluttering like feathers on a parasol, lasting 3 or 5 days in a great line. By seeing things from the perspective of the ultimate reality, son, you must regard this truth. There is neither you nor we. You must renounce all your confusion. Realize that all your previous negative views are now dead and gone. Such tortures arise in your own imagination and must not be seen as true. In a death characterized by ignorance, the rolling waves of pure and impure vibrations cause past impressions to manifest without interruption into the realm of name and form, like moonlight on water. But really, who is the father, the friend, the mother, the relatives? One's conception of them can be swept away, as if they are dust in the wind. Love, aversion, and delusion in regard to our friends, relatives, and offspring are merely accomplished by the projection of our own conceptions. The quality associated with relative makes a relative. The quality associated with stranger makes one a stranger, just as the notions of poison or nectar depend upon the appearance of fixity and light. How can this notion arise? That this one is a friend and that one is a stranger, when the mind of wisdom sees the oneness of the all-pervading soul. Son, reflect on yourself through your mind. Ask, who am I? What could I be? Something other than the body? A bony skeleton? A heap of blood, flesh, and bones? From the perspective of highest truth, there is no you, there is no I. Only in ignorance and delusion do punya and pavana spring forth. Who is your father? Who is your friend? Who is your mother? Who is your enemy? In regard to the endless luminosity of space, what can be proclaimed to be the self or not the self? You are consciousness in the midst of many other prior births, where you had friends and properties. Why not grieve for them also? Those many deer in the flowery meadow, born of their mother does, they were your relatives. Why do you not grieve for them? Regard the swans and the bouquets of lotuses on the riverbed. Why do you not grieve for those swans who were your relatives? Those fine trees in the splendid, beautiful forest were also your relatives. Why do you not grieve for them? Those lions on the awe-inspiring peaks of those mountains were also your relatives. Why do you not grieve for them? Those fish among the beautiful lotuses in the clear lakes were also your relatives. Why do you not grieve for them? You were a monkey in the brown woods of the Ten-River land. You were a prince in the land of snow, and a crow in the forest of tundras. You were an elephant among the Hahaya people, a donkey in the company of the Trigartas, a puppy with the people of Sāṃkhya, and a bird in that tree. You were a fig tree in the Vindhya range, and an insect in a great tree. You had been a hen on the Mandara mountain. You were also born as a Brahmin in Kandahar. You were a Brahmin in Kosala. You were a partridge in Bengal. You were a horse in the land of snow. And you were the beast killed in Brahmin sacrifice. The one who was an insect inside the root of the palm tree, who was a mosquito on a big ficus tree, the one who was previously a crane in the forest, that one is now you, my son, my little brother. That small red ant that lived for 6 months in the hollow of the thin, knotty birch tree bark on the cliffs of the Himalayas is now you, my little brother. You were the beetle living for 1.5 years in cow dung at the edge of the frontier village. Oh, Sadhu, that was you, little brother. The child who sat on the 6-petaled lotus throne of the Pulinda tribal woman, hidden in the forest. That one was you, little brother. For thousands of births in these many woods, you were born in various wombs, my son, and now you were born in Jogavāsiṣṭha. By the purified, clear vision of my subtle intellect, I see the previous successive lives of yourself. I remember today my many past lives, born of many wombs due to ignorance and indolence. This insight has arisen due to knowledge. Having been a parrot in Trigarta and a frog on a riverbed, having been a lumberjack in the woods, now I am born in this forest. I ravished a royal woman in the Vindhyas. I have been fashioned as a tree in Bengal, as well as a camel in the Vindhya range. I am now in this forest. That bird in the Himalayan town, that king in the Poundra region, that tiger in the Salya region, that one is now me, your elder brother. I was that vulture who lived for 10 years, that shark who lived 5 months, and that lion who lived a full century. That one indeed is now your older brother. Can you believe it? I lived as a prince of a village in Andhra, as a sovereign king of the Tusara region, and as the son of the Shayalacharya. I remember from long ago all the various incarnations and all the various customs that have arisen into manifestation due to confusion. There, in that place of memory, so many thousands of relatives were born in these worlds that have now gone. Fathers, mothers, siblings, and friends. Whom shall we to grieve? Whom shall we not grieve? We grieve all relatives that die. This is the way of the world. Like the endless passing of fathers and mothers in this world of samsara, souls drop like leaves falling off the trees in the forest. Who can measure the varieties of pleasure and pain, O brother? Therefore renounce all of them. Let us take our place in the light. Having renounced all cultivation of outward manifestation in the mind, abiding in the self, go happily to that place where the wise ones go. Inactive beings fall away, active persons rise again. Those with good thoughts do not greed, they move gradually toward freedom. Be free of confusion, be free of attachment to existence and non-existence, escape from old age and death. Be cool, always remembering your true self. You are not your suffering, you are not this birth. You are indeed the self, not this intellect. Indeed, how could you be other than true self? Sadhu, ignorant people performing various dramas in this journey of samsara attach themselves to the sentiments of existence. One can attain the goal of being the witness, self-possessed in the midst of all that can be seen. Such persons are established in the dharma of the observer, being the knower and spectator at all times. Whether engaged in action or inactive, such persons regard actions as if they were the fading light at the start of night. The knower stands unperturbed by the world. Those who have arrived at the illumination of the true self no longer see the reflection as real, just as the jewels reflected in the mirror are taken to be mere reflections by those with wisdom. Through moving away from all of this self-made darkness, dwell in your true self, which is like the radiant moon in the middle of your heart. Son, find the self in the self. Be a sage, like the great sages. Having renounced all impure perplexity, be content. So, thank you for this time. So we have some time for questions. Please, tell me your name.
Alicia.
Alicia. Sounds like you're from America.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I had this question before we came into the room, but so I study on my own. I study Buddha Dharma, and I'm a student at Yogavāsiṣṭha. And since I have learned about Sāṃkhya and Purusha and Prakriti and these non-dual concepts, I have trouble, and I wonder if it's possible to reconcile the impermanence of Buddha Dharma with the permanence of Purusha, and how those things can be.
Yeah, that's what drove me to get a PhD.
Yeah.
And that's what led me to the Yogavāsiṣṭha. Because it just places you into this bhāva of like, wow! Yeah. Of astonishment, vimarsha, that allows the world itself to be the gateway to that place of perfect equipoise. And friends of mine were with the Dalai Lama yesterday, and it really comes, regardless of tradition, down to the Brahma-viharas. Revered in yoga, revered in Jainism, revered in Buddhism. These are the qualities taken up by the Arhats after they went through their Sāṃkhya moment. And the Sāṃkhya moment, which, remember, he was born in Kapila Vastu, okay, so he was born in a Sāṃkhya environment in Nepal. And each of them, as they were deemed to be liberated by the Buddha, said, Naham Nasmi Name, uttered the very same words that we find in Ishvara Krishna Sāṃkhya Kārikā. So then the question becomes, the Buddhists say, no, no, no. And the thing that I love about Purusha is that, yeah, he's a carter, he doesn't do anything. Yeah, he's witness, yes, he's eternal, but she's eternal also. Okay, that the Prakriti, she's always here, she's always going to be here. And not that you need to like make it like a buffet, but you've got to reconcile this in a way that makes sense to yourself. And what makes sense to me is that it's the edge that allows us to be more fully who we are. What the Dalai Lama said yesterday is that, yes, the Brahma-vihara are, according to yoga, to have friendliness amongst people in sukha, to have compassion, karuna, for people that are in dukkha, that are suffering, to have sympathetic joy for those who are having a wonderful moment, mudita, and for those that are just not going to ever really be useful, at least in this lifetime, rather than despise them to develop equanimity. And what the Dalai Lama said was that we need to, yes, manifest metta, maitri, friendliness, not only to the friendly, okay, this is the Buddhist big, asterisk, but we also have to find that place where we can be friendly, not just compassionate, but truly friendly to our own worst enemy. He had to practice this because if he had dwelt with hatred his whole life against the Chinese, he would have become a bitter man. He knew in order for him to become his manifestation of Avalokiteshvara, the great God of compassion, that he had to simultaneously hold the knowledge of the wrong that had been done and resist the hatred that would stoke warfare. So I hear you. And what I find lovely about the yoga tradition is that it says Ishtadevata, is that you have to follow what makes you soar and follow the practice that makes the most cogent sense, and no one can figure that out for you. It's all the inference that we have to use, trial and error. And the Buddha himself said, don't do something or follow something because I said it. Try out what I say and then decide, is this going to work? But a great question, it's the question. Yeah. So I want to talk just a little about higher ed because it's such a moment. And in India, there are now 54 universities that claim they will bestow upon you BA, MA, PhD in yoga. Right? Slightly terrifying. And what I would suggest is that, and I have been at many of these places, and clearly not all 54 of them, and what the universities are now recognizing is they need to turn to places like this. And they're actually granting affiliation with places like Kaivalyadam and Nasik and places that really are the yoga places, because the university historically is not a yoga place. Right? So it's very important that the message come from here to inform the up here. And the curriculum that we design through trial and error, okay, through really the inferential method, is that yes, people need to know about the human body, and you need to know anatomy and physiology and asana, etc. That yes, people really do need to know Sanskrit. And on the one hand, it's really hard because Panini was such a genius that the whole modern field of linguistics only came to be when the Europeans discovered Panini. And what Panini gave us is the idea of a root. What Panini gave us was the idea of euphonic combination. What Panini gave us was the idea of family clusters and derivative languages. I mean, Panini was so brilliant. And as the Yoga Sutra says, that if you are able to really focus on the intent behind the word, that you can really understand what's going on, even if you don't know exactly what the words themselves one by one mean. So Sanskrit gives you amazing tools. And then religion, philosophy, psychology. This is the overwhelming part of yoga strength. And it requires knowing history, it requires knowing some archaeology, knowing the debates about all those things. It requires really knowing depth psychology. Depth psychology arose out of yoga. Textbook of yoga psychology, Dr. Mishra in New York in the 1960s. And Carl Jung came to America, came to India, not America, came to India and studied with Tibetans and learned about tankas, learned about all the imaginary worlds of the bhāva tunnel. And one of the texts that I'm working with, Yoga Bindu, that I mentioned earlier, is so specific about the importance of dream. And you heard a little bit about dream in here, just a little bit, but the dream is primary, waking reality is secondary. So what will move you is what comes from your dreams, and what will allow your students to grow is being given permission to allow the dream to speak. And the dream usually is a puzzle. But what is the waking access to dream is literature itself. So know the Mahabharata, know the Ramayana, know the narratives from all of the possible traditions you can know, because we improve ourselves through story. And that's how we come to a place of wholeness. And never be afraid to tell a story or to invite other people to tell stories. So that's my little push. And the yoga people really hold the power in all of this. And yoga people, and the other thing about Sāṃkhya is multiplicity. There are many Purushas. There will never be one yoga, just as there will never ever be one person. And this resistance to against really the hegemony of the monolithic is the great gift of yoga in particular, and that everyone's an individual. Everybody's path is unique unto that individual, and no one can do it except that individual. Okay, I could go on and on, but I know we've already had one person slip off, and I just really want to thank you for being so attentive, so yogic, and I'm just really grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. What you spoke today, what you have shared with us, also the practices are deeply inspiring and also very affirming with what we have been doing, what we want to also embrace and deepen into. Thank you so much.
I needed this on the plane today because I was so cold. So I forget that the air conditioning is now taken to a whole new level. Oh, lovely. Driving you nuts. You know we all have to